Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Purpose Tuned podcast. The goal of the show is to create valuable content to broaden your knowledge, inspire you to act, and get you in the right mindset so you can apply it in your own life to drive impact, generate meaning, and achieve your purpose. Now, today's guest is Jen Cui. Jen is a holistic health coach helping individuals create mindful relationships with their bodies, food, and physical health. She is the founder of Jen Cui Health and has helped hundreds of women and men reclaim their lives and bodies through her workouts and her signature 12-week Find Your Freedom Transformation coaching program. Jen Cui Health is on a mission to empower people to live a healthy lifestyle that is authentic to them, and it serves those who are lost and frustrated through powerful holistic health coaching, mindfulness-based lifestyle changes, immersive movement training, and intuitive nutrition strategies. So Jen, thank you for coming on the show. Welcome. How are you doing?
Hi, Kong. Thank you so much for having me on. I realize that is all a mouthful to say, but I'm very excited to be here and share everything that I have to talk about with your people.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I think you have a unique perspective to contribute to the show as it relates to meaning and purpose. So let's start off with the big question. What does purpose mean to you?
I love this question because purpose is, in very short terms, purpose is what makes goals useful. So when I think of purpose, it's the fuel to your passion, is the fuel to whatever avenues and activities that you do on a day-to-day basis. And to me, purpose is my fuel for everything that I do in holistic health coaching and helping people transform their lives. And my specific purpose is to use my unique life experiences and my ability to connect with other people in order to empower them in their bodies and their minds, so that they can make life an enjoyable experience.
That's amazing. And how did you get started in this work?
Yeah, so I faced a lot of challenges in mental health, especially when growing up. I faced a couple other challenges, just like relationally, in my adolescence that really brought me to where I am now. So I was able to learn a couple really important life lessons when I was a teenager through like traumatic experiences. And I think when people talk about trauma in their lives or negative experiences that they have, it's really that's it. They think of it as just a negative experience. But I think the other side of the coin, when you bring some more mindfulness and healing to it, is post-traumatic growth. So my journey to holistic health coaching and working one-on-one with clients was really a miracle because I was the kind of kid that always just did what I was told, worked hard, got good grades, achieved a lot of success in like athletics and academics, but didn't really have a why to it. So growing up, in a Asian household where both of my parents were immigrants from China, hard work was really beaten in, right? Like, gotta get good grades, go to a good college, get a good job, kind of that traditional path that people strive for. And so I never really questioned it much, but I felt myself kind of slip this disconnect between my mind and my body starting when I was in like fifth grade and going into middle school. I started seeing like this huge pressure that I would put on myself to perform at a high level without any end result. It was just to perform well and achieve without, any intrinsic motivation there or intrinsic gratification. So it really tore away at my self-worth. It blocked my trust in myself. Like, why was I doing things like playing golf or studying all day or volunteering at organizations that I wasn't even passionate about, and not questioning doing so, right? I just kept doing these things even though there was something inside of me that was like, I don't feel great doing this. Like, this isn't what I was meant to do. This isn't necessarily my choice. And because I kept pushing that down so much, it really created these lack of boundaries, and depression and anxiety in myself.
Mm.
So, going through this emotional burnout phase where in middle school, in high school, in early college, the pattern for me was always work really hard, just grind away, trying to climb the ladder of like academic success, and then fail miserably because I was not sleeping, I was not eating well, I hated my body, I hated myself. If I didn't achieve, it meant that I was a failure. I had very little resilience because um, anything that I did that I didn't immediately achieve at was a ding on my self-worth, right? It was like, you're not good enough. Your body's not good enough. You're gonna not achieve in your life. You're not gonna amount to anything. How can you expect anyone else to love you? Like all of these really terrible negative thoughts were just always coming in my mind. And while I had the grit to persevere and push through and keep working, I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to take care of myself.
Mm.
So seeing all of these things, um, and going through really suicidal ideation, like a really depressive state in my life for many years, opened my eyes to something could be wrong here. And inevitably, when you neglect yourself long enough, things go really, really wrong. So my freshman year of college, at the end of the first semester, I was hospitalized for 3 days. And that hospitalization was triggered by being in such an emotionally low place that I was a danger to myself. And the school had intervened to make sure that I could keep myself safe. That wasn't like, that experience was not something that just popped out of the blue. Th- that whole semester, I was struggling a lot because I had gotten into a really toxic relationship
Mm.
that was re traumatizing because when I was 14, I was sexually assaulted um, by a guy who coerced me into a relationship who was much older than me. And my freshman year of college, and the same thing happened where I was coerced into a relationship that I didn't want to be in. But because I had no boundaries, and for me, if I could always help other people focus on their problems, then I wouldn't have to look inwards.
Mm.
Um, these red flags kept popping up with this one guy, and I let that continue happening. Um, and because of that experience, I tore away at my own personal value. I was not doing anything for myself anymore. It was only for him or for other people around me, for school, for organizations.
Mm.
And I reached this point where my body was just retaliating, my mind was retaliating. So I was hospitalized to stabilize my mood, to kind of wake up from this depressive episode and really think like, what do I want life to be like? Because at the time, I literally had no idea what I wanted life to be like. I couldn't think of one single career that I was excited about. I couldn't think of one single class that I would be passionate about. I didn't have any friends who I felt were so close that it was worth living for. The only person in my life that made me really think about, hey, like suicide is not an option here, like you have a reason to stay, was my sister. And it was through our conversations of just like, how would that affect her, that made me think, okay, I need to get better. Like I need to be there for her as much as she's been there for me. I love her very deeply, and I know she does for me. So, what does that mean? It means I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of something to keep living. So, I have to figure out what that something is. So, through my healing journey, I really took everything that I saw in the treatment of mental health patients, where it was terrible. Like, I'm just gonna put that simply. I think we all know that our healthcare system is broken, but mental health especially, uh, that system is so broken and people are not treated as people. There's very little empathy, I feel, from people who work there. And it's not necessarily the fault of the individuals themselves. I think at a certain point, you get numb to the things that you see. And because mental health is so challenging, where you can't actually see the physical things that are wrong, you can only judge people off of their actions or their words or their habits, behaviors. It's really easy to write them off as like, oh, they're either lazy or unmotivated, or they're just crazy, which I really encourage people to take that out of their language, because you don't know what people's battles are, you don't know what their experiences are. um, but after seeing all of that, I really made a promise to myself to do something about it. I was like, I'm going to be the change I want to see in this world, right? Be like Gandhi. So um, while I'm not in the policy aspect, or going into psychiatry to interject at that level, I am working out of like a preventative place, out of a place of, okay, let's work on thriving in life.
Mhm.
Once you have recognized that you need help and that you are working on getting yourself to a stable place, let's work on thriving and opening up the opportunities that life has to offer you. So, through going through traditional medicine first, I did 2 months of therapy and medicine. I was on a pill called Lamictal, that was actually for seizures and bipolar disorder, where it has shown to really help with suicidal ideation. And I just mentioned the name because it's something that I've never heard of, and I studied psychology. I just knew everybody who was depressed was on like Lexapro or, Zoloft. Those are like the two most common. I was
Right.
like, oh, like I thought that this medication was complete bogus. Honestly, I was like, what do you mean that this pill can change my thoughts? Like, those are my thoughts.
Right.
Like, me wanting to kill myself is not from anybody else. That's just me. Like, how can this pill do something like that? And I realized that, um, mental health is so much of a time a literal chemical imbalance in your brain. And if you need that medication to help fix that, it's okay. In fact, you should do that, because that is how you can heal. If you're sick, you take a pill or you go get medicine from a doctor, because that helps it heal quicker or more effectively, or you can't heal without it. And for me, that was something that I had to cross that barrier of like, okay, I'm going to accept that this is going to help, this has a possibility of helping, and I want to help myself. So I took that for 2 months. I went to therapy, and the medication helped tremendously. The therapy was okay. And after 2 months, I was like, okay, what do I want the rest of my life to look like now? Because I think the medication got me to a more stable place. But I thought that it kind of reached its maximum potential.
Mhm.
I wasn't somebody who thought of myself as sick. I wasn't somebody who thought of myself as um, who needed to rely on medication for the rest of my life.
Right.
So, because of that, I was like, what can I do personally to improve my mental health, to improve my physical health, so that I don't have to rely on medication, and so that I can live a better life naturally? Because that has to be possible. I see people do it. It has to be possible. So why isn't it possible for me? And that's when I kind of put myself in my own mental health wellness and physical wellness boot camp. Started to work out a lot more, like, but this time for for my enjoyment. It was, for function, not for aesthetics. And personally, I had a really bad relationship with fitness and with food and my body growing up. I would work out for like hours on end to try to lose weight. I would run, I would calorie count, do all these things where I hated my life. I was so cranky all the time because I was just hungry all the freaking time. And this time it was like, it's going to be different.
Right.
I'm going to do things that I enjoy. So that was dance, that was kickboxing, that was lifting. Lifting completely changed my life. Um, and I was not running. I was not doing like heavy cardio. It was just, let me just enjoy on having fun, whether that's 10 minutes or an hour, but I'm just going to have fun with it. And then it was working on my mental health,
Mhm.
really figuring out what are the limiting beliefs that I have and how can I start changing that. So, really starting off with the most simple, cringeworthy thing of affirmations, telling yourself that you are beautiful, you're worthy, you're deserving of love, and getting really specific about that. So, I think this is also something that I see as a coach now with my clients is when people set affirmations for themselves, um, people start at a very surface level because I think when you see on social media, people are just like, say that you're beautiful to yourself, but that's not enough. I think affirmations, you have to dig really deep into knowing what are you saying to yourself. Are you saying like, I'm a lazy piece of shit and I need to get my shit together, right? So let's change that into a positive, and it's not just I can be productive or I am a hard worker. It's I am so badass and I can take control of my time and my boundaries so that I can achieve a healthier and more balanced day to day, right? Like, I think that sounded really
Well,
choppy,
so no,
but
so
yeah.
I can actually kind of see it sounds more empowering when you're instilling a sense of belief in yourself.
Hmm.
And it's not just a generic self-affirmation. You're you're almost careful in terms of the words you choose, such as
Yes.
badass and
Yes.
you believe in yourself, right? Like those are powerful self-affirmation that I think could really help shift a person's mindset to believe in themselves. What do you
Hmm.
think about positive, the power of positive thinking, how
Ooh,
that
I
plays
love that
into
question.
mental health, mental illness?
I love that because positive thinking is not woo woo. I think people think that, but there's actually a lot of research in positive thinking and positive psychology and mindfulness. So I love um, I love positive thinking. I think that it encompasses more than just your own personal self talk. It encompasses looking deeply into what are patterns that you've had in the past, beliefs that you've created from your life experiences. And a lot of times this requires help from another person, from a trained professional who can take you back to childhood or adolescence where you've experienced some type of trauma that you've created a belief that either you are not worthy, the world is unsafe, you will not be provided for, or especially with like money, people have so many limiting beliefs from money that stem from childhood. And positive thinking can only occur when you go back that far to understand what are your triggers, and you know this is kind of the antidote to that trigger. So it's shifting your limiting beliefs, your default thinking pattern, to become neutral and then positive. And I think that neutrality part's also important. You can't just you can't necessarily jump straight from having a really pessimistic view on life to being an extreme optimist. Right. I think for me, especially, like my journey for that was being a complete nihilist, thinking that there's absolutely no point in life, to being a pessimist of, okay, only bad things are going to happen and like bad things are going to happen to me and to other people and life is bad, to being a realistic pessimist where I can understand, okay, well, these are like what actually is happening in life. But there's always bad things that can happen. To being a pessimist, or to being a realistic optimist, where this is where life is, this is kind of what's happening, but there is potential for good. And now I think I'm in between that and being just like a total optimist where anything is possible. You can totally shift your perspective.
Mhm.
So when it comes to positive thinking for mental health, like that is something that is extremely powerful that can be utilized and I think should be utilized more. However, unless you are in a place where you can do that work, meaning you're open to it, it's not going to work for you. You can't push it on somebody.
So how do you get people to be open to it?
Yeah, that's a another really awesome question because for me personally with my clients, the people who are coming to me are people who are highly motivated to change, who have recognized that there has been um, like a glitch in their life and they are ready to take back some level of control and really learn those tools. So that is almost a prerequisite of working with me is that you have to be open to trying new things. No matter like what your connotations are with it, like that's something that we can always work through. Um, but you have to be open to it. For somebody who is in a place in their life where they are not open to it when they hear me or you say, hey, like positive thinking is a thing, or like, try out affirmations, manifestation, vision boarding, and they're just like, yeah, that's too Pollyanna. That's really woo woo. Um, well, then I invite them to like just sit on it, right? Just dive into that discomfort that it's causing. Figure out why are you so adverse to it, because most likely if someone is unhappy with their lives or unhappy with their weight, unhappy with their health, they're not just sitting there doing nothing. They've probably tried something in the past and it hasn't worked. That's the key, is that everything that you've done to this point to help yourself hasn't worked, and that proves to yourself that you're incapable of change. And when you have that narrative of, I cannot change, I can put in all the effort in the world, but I cannot change, what's the point? Then you become closed off to opportunities. So I invite people who are in a place where they're on that teeter totter of, I want to try something new, but nothing in the past that I've tried has helped me before, to really dig deeper into why is this time different. Is this time different because you're more motivated to change? Maybe you have an event coming up, or you want to meet the perfect person and you're just totally sick of meeting people that are not right for you. That's something that comes up all the time with my clients, is they're just like, dating right now is so hard. It's like harder than ever. And I'm so sick of meeting people who are inauthentic. Well, then maybe you need to explore how can you be more authentic to yourself. And that honestly starts with your beliefs and your thought patterns, right? Living your best life.
What do you say to people who are living authentically but have yet to find things that make them joyful and happy?
Mm. People who are living their lives
So,
authentically.
right. So, for example, you mentioned about if someone wanted to find that special person,
Right.
but they're meeting all the wrong people because
Mhm.
folks are not authentic. And you said,
Mm.
perhaps they should assess whether they are being authentic to themselves. So my follow-up question to that is, how do you respond to folks who have lived authentically but have yet to find someone that is as authentic as them?
Mm. I think that's an interesting question because um, I believe living authentically might have different meanings and connotations to different people.
Mhm.
And I would also look into what is the energy that you have around, your goal, your intention, right? What is the
Mhm.
intention behind this? Um, because when we try really, really hard to make something happen, but it's coming out of the intention of like fear or scarcity. Uh, it's a very different intention than coming out of a place of like love and worthiness. So when it comes to relationships and really cultivating, um, manifesting, calling in to the world, to the universe, to God, whatever you believe in, because we all believe in something, being like, I want this person to show up fully why? What is your why? This comes back to purpose. What
Right.
is the why behind this? And I believe your energy surrounding that is the energy that you're going to get out of it. And I think every person that you meet who you either are trying to have a relationship with or something is a lesson learned. So perhaps there is a lesson to be learned there. For example, personally, I kept meeting this is kind of a funny like side note, but I went on like 50 dates in like 2019. Like I just was on Bumble, on Hinge, like for so long. And I would go through these trials and errors of like, I hate this, like I don't want to be on dating apps anymore. I just want to meet somebody organically.
Mhm.
But also like, oh, I like need this. And like almost like it's like validation and also like but what if they're out there? I think I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for somebody. Right. And this was a period in my life where I did all the healing work. I was really thriving in my life and was growing my business. And I was like, I'm ready for this person to show up. Like I promise, universe, like this time it's gonna be different. And what I saw time and time again with all these relationships is I would come from a place of, oh, like neediness,
Mhm.
of, oh, like I want this to really work out. Like I like I can do this. Like I know that they'll like me. But am I enough? Like there were these points in times where I look back and I'm like, I was not setting clear boundaries for myself. I didn't know exactly who I wanted. Like, how can you say that you wanna meet the one when you don't know what the one is?
Right.
And I see this again with my clients where they wanna just have a boyfriend or have a girlfriend, but they don't know what that looks like for them.
Right.
So, I personally manifested in my current boyfriend who is, like, my soulmate, who I absolutely love and adore, and we are such great matches for each other because we're on the same, vibration of life. We're on the same brain waves,
Mhm.
where we think in the same manner but differently. They
Mm.
complement each other. We support each other's growth in the best way possible. And we have the same values for life and same life goals. And I knew that he was quote unquote the one because a few months before I met him, I sat down in a fit of frustration, mind you. I was so sick of this one guy who I was seeing who I was like, oh my gosh, like we could be perfect together. Why doesn't he want a relationship with me? Like, I'd be a fucking awesome girlfriend. Hello, are you blind here? Right? I was like, oh, but like, why am I also drawn to that if he said he doesn't want to be with me? Right?
Right.
Like, why was this happening? So I woke up in a fit of frustration. This was like 3 a.m. and I literally just wrote down exactly what I wanted in a boyfriend, what I wanted in a life partner. And it went so deep of to like the feelings, the emotions. It wasn't just the what, it was the how do I feel, right? And to know that that was out there for me, to know that every opportunity that comes into your life, is a gift, it's a lesson learned, that you have to learn to love yourself, to set those boundaries so that you can allow that person to come in. And once that person comes in, you understand why nothing worked out in the past. Like I truly believe that.
Mhm.
So if you are living your most authentic life, I love that. Keep doing that. Focus on that. But if you really are in a place where you're trying to call in somebody who is the perfect match for you have to get clear on what it is that you want. Who is it that they want? What is the energy? What are you guys doing? How do they make you feel? What are their core values? Right? Understand what is important to you, what your goals are, and does that person mirror that? Do they have different ambitions from you? I think that is where you can see some true magic happen
Yeah.
when you're able to be clear.
I mean, this is important, right? Relationships, because as humans, we have a need to connect with one another. That's how
Mhm,
human beings thrive in life.
mhm,
And so it's important to do the internal hard work and self-assessment and being mindful of the type of vibration that we're putting out, because
mhm.
what we put out we attract. And
Yes, exactly.
right. And so the universe has is ways of making things happen for us. But we have to, as you're saying, be clear about what is it that we want. And by sitting down and either writing on a notepad or doing a vision board, um, the characteristics of the types of people we want in our life, and every day thinking about ways how we can move towards attracting those folks into our lives, we become more purpose driven people, and that ultimately leads to fulfillment. So I love the types of words that you're describing about vibration, energy, and authenticity. I think that those are powerful words to ensure that we're on this journey to fulfillment. My next question here is, what is it that inspires you to do this work?
Mm. I think for me, this kind of comes to the results that, like the rewards, right? That I get from it, and it's seeing the results of my clients.
Mm,
Um, because at the beginning, what inspired me to do it was all the um, negativity that I saw from mental health. And then it was myself and my journey of like, holy shit, I was in such a terrible place. And for me to be completely 180, where my entire personality shifted, my values shifted, the way I showed up for myself, for my friends, for just everyone around me shifted. Being able to experience true gratitude for the first time in a really, really long time, that was super inspiring for me. And
mhm,
now being able to shift other people's mindsets, right? Where my clients will come in hating themselves, thinking that they are unworthy of love, or that they are not capable of change, especially when it comes to their health and their wellness, right? And being able to get them to a point of understanding, like, actually, like, I can. And look, here's proof, because you know what I did this whole last week? I woke up in the morning and I made my bed, right? Or this whole week, I got done with I did my affirmations every single day, right? It's about these small little wins that build up, and then this aha moment in a client where their face kind of lights up and they're just like, hey, I did something for myself and I feel good about it. And obviously, the end result of them having a better relationship with their body, being able to eat intuitively, not diet, and then that showing up in their relationships, because now they can go out and have a meal with their friends and not worry about their weight, right? They can go out on a date with that person and not think about, oh, like, do I look okay? Am I attractive enough for them? And really critically think, do I like this person?
mhm.
Right? It's not about you, it's about the other person. It's like how you feel about somebody else. So watching that perspective shift is really rewarding, and that always inspires me to do more, because I think about what is the potential big impact here, and it's that we can shift society as a whole to be more authentic. And I think when the world comes alive, when we are all able to be our authentic self, then that is where society can move forward.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, I mean, you have such a powerful life story, and your journey, and in your ability to self-reflect and realize uh, what a state you were in, and now having to do a 180 and being in such a positive state of mind is just remarkable. Um, how would you get people to push through um, difficult times?
Mhm. Yeah. When we talk about difficult times, like, I think people right now automatically think 2020,
Mhm.
coronavirus, it was terrible. All these negative things happened, right? Um, and there's a lot of things within there's a lot of different approaches to dealing with pushing through, quote unquote, pushing through difficult times,
Mhm.
right? There's the aspect of the mindset piece where it's just like, do you just need grit? Are you trying to build resilience? Um, is there something that is limiting in your speech and your beliefs that keep you in these quote unquote difficult times? So I'll give you an example for myself, right? Um, when coronavirus hit, I did not go through this whole depressive state at all. I was, um, I guess, lucky in a way where I had a support system that I could talk to if I needed to. But I actually was really excited because I was like, oh, great, all of my classes are online now. Like, I can take my classes pass, fail. Holy shit, this means I can have more time for my business. Like, I can start making more YouTube videos. Like, I can really go hard on my online presence and like, I can be a resource for people
Mhm.
because mental wellness, physical, improving your physical health, like just taking care of yourself, that's what I preach. And in this time where everyone has to stay home, what can they do? Why is it scary? And a lot of people found it scary because they didn't have anything to do but to look inwards. And inside it's scary.
Mhm.
So when we want to push through difficult times, that's the first step is you have to go inside. You have to look inwards, do the scary thing, push yourself out of your comfort zone. And there's a lot of techniques and tools that people can use. My personal favorite for setback recovery is the 4 questions and 3 P's of recovery.
Mhm.
So let's start with the 4 questions. So when you go through something challenging, you might have a belief that pops up. Let's say that this is, oh my gosh, this guy didn't want to continue a relationship with me, or maybe you just broke up with your partner and you're like, this is terrible. Like, I'm never going to find love again, right? The first question that you ask yourself is this thought true? And let's say you're in a bad place and you're just like, yeah, of course it's true. Like, I'm never going to find love. They love me the most. Is this thought really true? That's the second question. Challenge yourself and think deeply. Take some time to reflect on this. Is this thought really true? Is it really true that you're never going to find love again, that this person loved you the most? Well, let's look at that. I know that, you know, um, I can love myself more than that. Or these are some things that they did that I actually really didn't like, that didn't align with my values. Okay, well, then is it possible that somebody else could come along and love you better? Be more aligned with you? Yeah, probably. So then the answer to that question of is this thought really true is no, right? This is not the most terrible thing that's happened to you. You can find love again. So then number 3 is, um, you know, who would I be without this thought? And number 4, is there a stress-free reason to keep this thought? So is there a reason other than bringing you stress that this thought is helpful, that this thought of you will never find love again? Is that helpful to you? No, it really isn't. And if you can recognize that, then it's like, well, then why am I holding on to this? And when you can answer the question of who would you be if you didn't hold on to that thought of, okay, if I didn't think that I was undeserving of love or that no one's ever going to love me again, then maybe that would allow me to focus on myself, to do the healing that I need to do, to recover from this relationship, or to, you know, give myself love, show myself that I can take care of myself. And then you can go back out there, go date, do whatever you want to do to find the perfect person for you.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm. That's
And yeah, that 4-step process is really great to bring more mindfulness into your situation so that instead of just reacting to a situation, you can pull back and reflect and choose how you want to react.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. I think that will be a, a resource that would be beneficial for many of my listeners who are
Mhm.
tapped into this show. Um, what's rewarding about your work, would you say?
Yeah, definitely the results and growth for everyone involved. I think, like I said, when people come to me, oftentimes they have all of these limiting beliefs that they recognize there's something that they want to achieve that they just haven't been able to yet. And as a result of the work that we do by creating true self-reliance, creating, self-motivation, and being able to make peace with their bodies and reconnect with their mind, they're really able to see themselves find an enjoyable workout routine that they stick to instead of forcing themselves into something they don't like to do. They're able to trust and listen to their bodies, eat intuitively, sleep when they feel tired instead of staying up and then feeling guilty about sleeping or like about staying up. They're able to set boundaries with other people and with themselves. So, really understanding what is non negotiable for you and sticking to your guns about that. They're able to intuitively navigate setbacks so that they can keep growing. And they're able to bring more mindfulness into their everyday so that they can feel a sense of peace and calm throughout their day instead of franticness and anxiety that I think a lot of people operate in.
Yeah. Well, gee, you are definitely a purpose-driven individual. You mentioned about, having to change people's lives, and that's really about impact. And it's not about, of course, financial gains, although that is important, but it's not the core, the primary reason why you're doing it. And so, to be able to be of service to others and make an impact in your communities and get people to a better state of mind are things that purpose-driven people uh, strive to do. And so I want to thank you for your time and your perspective and sharing your thoughts on, of course, mental health and mindfulness and the power of authenticity and so much more. And so, where can people find you and your work should they want to connect?
Yeah, thank you for those kind words. And yeah, if this resonated with anybody, if you really want to work on creating healthier, sustainable lifestyle routines, you can find me on Instagram at Jen Cui Health. That's JenCui Health, or on my website, www.jensway.com. It's just my name. There you can just find my contact information. We can book a clarity call to really get clear on what your goals are and why and your next steps on it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, folks, you hear that, and I highly encourage you to connect with Jen. I think she's an amazing asset to your areas of in any areas of your life that you want improvement on. And Jen, thanks again for your time. I truly appreciate your existence.
Thanks so much, Kong. I really appreciate being on here and being able to, just talk to your folks.
Likewise. Well, take care.